Hey everybody, so my name is Horace Luong. I'm one of the instructors here at the University of Manitoba teaching Tai Chi. So we've been offering Tai Chi classes at the University of Manitoba for probably about a decade now. And I've been invited to share with you some of what we teach in our beginner class. And so over the next 30 minutes or so, we'll cover just a bit about beginner level Tai Chi, just to give you a sense of what Tai Chi is, what we focus on in our classes, just to give you a sampling of what we do. So in terms of Tai Chi, it is a Chinese martial art that was created some 400 years ago, and there are several styles of it created over the 400 years. And so what we teach here is a style called the Sun style Tai Chi, which is a very easy to learn style, and it's inclusive to everybody. Everybody can learn it. Sometimes, depending on the class, we also do something called the Chen style, which is the oldest style of Tai Chi. It's got a history of 300 to 400 years, and it's a bit more intense. It has a bit more physical requirements and movements that the Sun style does not have. So today we'll take a look at this, some parts of the Sun style Tai Chi, so everybody can play a part and try and learn it as well. So some of the principles that we have in Tai Chi is we have them in terms of movement. We want to move smoothly, and for now we will move slowly as well. And so as we're moving, that's one part of it. But the other part is we want to start thinking about what is our mind thinking of. We want to be mindful of our movement. So the principle is, if our mind thinks about a particular body part, let's say the fingers, then our intention goes there. And what that does is it allows us to move our energy. And that's the biggest part of Tai Chi. We need to be able to cultivate this energy, this Qi. We need to cultivate it, we need to move it. So if I'm thinking about my fingers, so you try this too, think about the fingertips, you'll start to think, okay, this area, these little fingers right here, that area maybe start to tingle, it may start to get warm. And so that's one part of it. So using not only smooth movements, slow movements, but I need to start thinking about my movements, being mindful. The third part is our breathing, okay? So when we breathe in Tai Chi, we breathe in and out through our nose, and I'm going to try and connect my tongue to the roof of my mouth. And what that does is it connects your meridians. So that's where the energy flows, the front meridian and the back meridian. So it connects that, so it allows us to circulate that energy. So try and do this, connect your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and then you're going to breathe in and out through your nose. And when you breathe in, you're going to let your belly expand. So breathe in, that area expands, and then breathe out through your nose, and then let that area relax. So all our movements, we'll try and breathe in that way. So using our nose and keeping that connection with the tongue. So if you think about it, it's pretty simple, right? We need slow movements, fluid movements. We need to use our mind when we move. So think about how we're going to move. And then also be aware of our breathing. So those are your three basic components. In terms of how we move, all our movements will come about from our center, this area called the dantian. So if I just move an arm, that wouldn't be Tai Chi. I'd have to think, okay, using my center here, so I first connect myself to the floor, and then I'm going to move my center, which then moves the arm. So using that sort of propagation, almost like a wave of movement. So the center moves first, which moves the hip, and then the arm goes. So that's sort of the origin of our movement. It must always come from this energy well, this center. So that's what differentiates us from some of the other martial arts out there, these various factors. I think the biggest one, if you actually see people practice Tai Chi, will be the slowness of the movements. Very, very slow. because we have to be so mindful about our breathing, we have to be mindful about our movement as well. So let's get going with a few Tai Chi movements. So maybe what I'll have you do first is we'll get warmed up. And so just follow along. So we're going to keep our arms at about shoulder width, so shoulder height. And we're going to go out with our elbows and then flip them over, up with the palms. So elbows, palms. Elbow, palm. So the whole point of the warm-up in our Tai Chi is to get our blood flowing to all these extremities, our legs, our feet, our hands, and that way, when our blood flows to those areas, our Chi should also flow to the area. Okay, so switch it up. So now one hand up, one hand down. So I'm just keeping my palm that's up, palm forward, and palm that's back is the palm that's below. So a couple of these, just get warmed up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to relax our body, okay? And I'm going to rotate and let my arms just swing. Okay? So this is already starting to practice using our body to do the movement, and then your arms and hands just finish that movement. So I'm not moving with my arms first, and then body rotates. Okay? So body goes, arm goes. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to activate some of these meridian points in our body. So back here, I'm activating my kidney, and then I'm just hitting my shoulder with the other hand. So shoulder and kidney. So as you do this, you want to think, okay, I'm using my body to do this movement, as opposed to using arms and hands. So when you're practicing at home, feel free to do a few more of these warm-up movements, just to get your body loosened up and muscles loose, and blood flowing and Chi flowing. Okay, so now we're going to rotate forward. So I'm rolling with shoulders forward. And so once again, I'm trying to use my body to get my arms to go. So as opposed to just rotating with my arms, right? So roll the whole body forward. And I'm going to rotate back as well. So as I'm doing this, my legs are relaxed. I don't want to tense up those legs, so keep them relaxed. And I'm also starting to think about, where's my weight on my foot? Is it on the ball of the foot, on the heel? So starting to be mindful of these various body parts. And I'm going to keep my hands up the hip, and then I'm going to rotate in one direction. So I'm just going to keep the hip relaxed, knees relaxed, knees relaxed. Okay, other direction. They're counting the numbers, but normally when we do this about 10 times for everything, for 10 times of the elbows, 10 times of the arms up. Okay, and then now we're just going to stretch out those the heels, get the heels to point a little bit. So just step down, touch the heel, stretch out those knees and legs. Okay. So typically we go through a series of warm-ups. It takes about 5-10 minutes or so in a typical class. And then we do a little bit of stretching. And so one of the advantages of Tai Chi is not only does it help people with their balance, flexibility, muscle coordination. So these are various things that it's good for. But one does have to practice it. So it's not just if I just do Tai Chi once a week for 1 hour, I get all these benefits. So I think you do need to commit just a little bit more than that. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of stretching in our Tai Chi form here, the Tai Chi class. So keep your feet close together, parallel. So I'm going to breathe in, collect my hands, up, push up. Okay. And you're going to push as high as you can, looking up, and I want to, just keep my shoulders relaxed, push up and hold, breathing naturally. So you want to make sure you push up directly. So you don't want to feel like you're arching your back or keeping your front forward. So I want to push up vertically. Now I'm going to look forward and then turn the core and turn my head. Keep on pushing up. Turn the body, turn the head. Go back neutral. And then we just go to the side, as far as you can go, but maintain, keep your body in the same plane. So don't arch back with it or keep your body forward, just in the same plane. Stretch to the side. So I'm going to feel a stretch along the side here. And other side. Okay. Go back to neutral and then relax. Okay, so hopefully now your blood's flowing and you can feel warm. Maybe some of you may even feel that energy. So for us, our chi, our energy starts from the energy well, and it moves to our body, throughout the body. And our belief is, if our energy is stagnant, it's clogged at some place, that's where our pain and illness develops. So we want to try and keep our energy moving. The blood flowing brings the energy past that area. And so hopefully we don't have any sort of stagnant energy. Okay. So now you're warmed up as I am. So let's take a look at some of this, as I call it, the Sun style, the Sun family Tai Chi. So Sun style Tai Chi is probably about, 120 years old, maybe, somewhere in that time frame. It's the newest of the 5 major families of Tai Chi. And its characteristic is very compact movement. So for many of us who live in condos, little apartments, this is a great form because you don't need a lot of space. And the attractive nature comes from, one, how easy the movements are to do. They're not intricate like some of the other forms. It doesn't require a lot of space. And in terms of physical demand, it's very minimal. So you can even practice this if you wanted to, sitting down. You don't have to be standing up like I am. So as long as you keep the principles in mind, right? So then, once again, they are, all your movements start from your center. Okay, 1, 2, you're using your mind to do the movement. So you're being mindful of that movement. And then 3 is the breathing, right? So in through the nose, out through the nose. And then usually we would correlate that with movement where if we expand, we breathe out. If we bring our arms in, contract, we breathe in. So that's the sort of coordination we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our feet in a little V shape. Okay, so it's almost one foot's 2 o'clock, the other foot is at your 10 o'clock position. Okay, so a little V shape. So in this beginning position, I want to feel where my weight is on my foot. So when you're standing here, okay, imagine the top of your head being pulled upwards towards the sky, and your tailbone is going to be pulled down. So you want to lengthen that whole back. And when you do that, your chin will drop just a little bit. So you don't want your chin up here somewhere. So that opens up the whole back meridian, or the back channel. So make sure your body's relaxed. And then now I'm breathing in and out through my nose. So in, all the way to my energy well, that expands. So don't breathe up in your chest. Keep it down here. And breathe out. So that contracts. I want to keep my body relaxed. No tension anywhere in the shoulders, arms, fingers. And for my feet, I want to position my weight just behind the ball of the foot. So don't go into the heels because then you'll start to fall out. If you pitch your body too far forward, then you go right into the toes. So pull it back, just feel it right behind the ball of the foot. So if you don't know where the ball of the foot is, it's just sort of like midway around, in the middle position of the foot. So be mindful of that space. Okay. So this is what we call a beginning position. So we want to feel at equilibrium, balanced, relaxed, breathing. So the first form, we call it the commencement form, or the beginning form, or opening form. So what I want to do, in essence, like if you look from the side, I'm going to hands come up, and then hands come down. So when my hands come up, I'm not lifting and dropping them. So if I do that, that's, I'm using my arms, my hands to do it. So what we discussed was all your movements going to start from your center. So my body will go slightly forward, and then I'm imagining this momentum carrying the arms up to shoulder height, and then my center comes down, which drops the hands down. So once again, so the body propagates a wave through, momentum carries the hands up, body drops, hands follow. So there's almost like a swing of the hands up, and then I'm going to draw them down. There's a little curve, almost like I'm drawing a little S coming back in. So a little S right here. So the other thing you notice is my hands are kept open like this. So these are called what we call tiger mouths. And so it's very important that when we practice Tai Chi, we keep this hand open, this tiger mouth open. And what that does is it allows us to send our energy through. And you can try this. If I position my hand sort of flat, 5 fingers together, you feel, okay, there's a bit of restriction there, of course. If you open it up, almost like you feel like you're like palming a basketball, for instance, what you start to feel is that this area right here, around where the thumb is, the meat of the thumb there, starts to warm up a bit. And if you start to coordinate your breath and your intention to this area, okay, all the way through to the fingertips, that area starts to warm up. So when we move, breathe in, okay, and then breathe out, and I start thinking about that, it should start to warm up. Okay. So, back to the beginning. My tiger mouths are open. So beginning, propagate the wave, and then sink. And you notice that I lowered my knees just a little bit, or relax the knees just a bit. Okay. Bring the hands up. Then, I'm going to take a step forward with my heel and present my hands forward. So in essence, that's the motion here is pretty easy to think about it in terms of, okay, hands up, hands down, step forward, present hands forward, right? And that's pretty easy to remember. What we have to do is now we have to incorporate all those principles that we talked about. So, to get our heels together, 45 degrees. Hands up. So my body drops, which brings the hands down. Take a step forward. And then present the hands forward. So at this point, when I present my hands forward, my feet are parallel to each other. The weight is just behind the ball of the foot. And I relax my knees, my hands are just forward. I don't want to straighten my arms. Because when I do that, now my body's out of balance. I feel like I'm going to tip forward. So I want to relax these arms so that I feel in control and in balance. So once again. So relax the body. Hands up to shoulder height. Relax body. And down. So just waist height or so. Bring my foot forward. Heel first. Present my hands. And have equal weight. So that's what we could call beginning, or commencement position. And keep your tiger mouths open, right? Okay, so we're going to try this the beginning form with me facing blue. So we're going to once again think about using our body, moving our body first, then sinking, hands follow. Then I'm going to take a step with my heel, and then I present my hands. Okay. So once again, and body moves, hands follow. Body compresses and relaxes, and hands follow. Then I take my step, and then I present my hands. So one of the things you notice here when I'm presenting this step here, my body is here. I put my foot forward, then I transfer my body. And this is a very unique thing of Tai Chi, very unique movement of Tai Chi. So we always move with our foot first. Then the body follows. Wherever we go forward or go to the side, foot goes, then foot follows, or body follows. Whereas when you're walking, we were talking about, when we walk, we think about moving our body first, and I'm catching my foot under my body, which is very different from how we walk in Tai Chi. In Tai Chi, we walk with our foot first, body follows, foot first, body follows. Okay, so our commencement, we have body relaxed, the wave of energy through the body, keep the tiger mouths open, relaxed, take a step, and then present the hands. Okay, so that's your commencement movement. Now, we're going to follow that with a movement called open-close. So after this presentation, I'm going to open with my body, open, closing my body. So imagine using my chest muscles, back muscles to open and close. So I'm not just using my hands or arms. So once again, so from the very beginning, we have propagate the movement, compress, take a step, present. Open and close. So I want to keep the hands about shoulder width and then just opening and closing. So, one more time for the movement, I'll do it on the side here. So, propagate the wave through the body. Sink, drop the hands down to waist. Take a step, and present the hands. Open, and close. So as we do these movements here, any movement we do in Tai Chi, as I said, you want to use your mind, right? Think about what it is that you're doing. And so every, let's say opening, closing, pushing the hands forward, I want to imagine there's resistance in that movement. So this way, as I do it, there's air that's in the way, and I need to kind of push that aside. Using the arms, there's resistance in the hands, resistance in the palms as up as down. So that's part of that, using the mind. So let's try this out. We call it dynamic resistance in the movement. So body propagates the wave. Now I feel that weight sink, resistance in the arms. Taking a step. resistance in the foot. Okay, there's air resistance there. Present the hands, resistance in my fingers and palms. Bring it in. So now resist in the elbows and the hands, resistance in the palms. So I feel that there's a little bit of compression. So that's open. Okay, so let's try and coordinate our breath to the movement. So to remind you, our breathing is whenever we contract, we breathe in, expansion, we breathe out. So beginning, you want to make sure your body's relaxed. Breathe in and out through our nose. So hands up and compress. Bring the hands down. Breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So, as you notice, we try and do our movements very slowly so that we can coordinate the breath. I don't want you hyperventilating on your side, or myself even. So normally when we start to learn Tai Chi, we do it slowly just to be able to coordinate the breath with the movement. Over time, you will be able to deeply breathe, but be able to do movements fast. So the whole point is just to be able to feel, okay, I can control my breath, I can use my breathe deeply, and that's what's important to us. So, once more, we have preparation. Hold the top of your head up, tailbone down, chin slightly tucked under, tongue to the roof of your mouth. Relax body. Body shifts slightly forward. Hands follow. Breathe in. Breathe out. And compress. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. So, as we're practicing, you want to think about the movement of your feet. Okay. So, where's my weight? Making sure you're just behind the ball of the foot. In terms of your movement, originate all movement from the center, the energy level. So, when I breathe in, I'm opening my back up. Breathe out. I can feel the back press in. So, using your whole body. So I'll do it this way. So as you're looking, you might be looking at me right now, but normally when you're practicing, you want to look far ahead. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. In, out. And then hands up, and then settle. So just the hands drop, and then relax those knees. Okay, that's fine. Do it this way. So imagine like your top of your head's pulled up by a string, and then your vertebrae line up, tailbone drops, and in, breathe out. In, in, out. And then hands in front, and drop. So normally when we're learning Tai Chi, we learn it from various levels. The first level is the physical level. So you're looking at, okay, where do I place my hands? Where do I take my step? And then the second level is now when you start to think about the breathing, and then you start to think about the intention. Okay? So we're doing it again, and I want you to focus on each of these points. So let's start with the physical point. Okay. Relax body. In. So now use your energy well, sink down, pull the hands down. Take a step, transfer weight, and now use the resistance of the body, and press with resistance. Okay, I'll do it once this way, and we'll think about that breath level. And of course, you can always pause the video, and then you can always go back and work on just the physical movements, and then work on the breath movement in the second time. So in, the breath, out. Step, and out. In, and then at the end, hands in the front, and then lower. I was just going to comment, like when I take the step forward, it is with my left foot. So whether you do a left foot or right foot, the movement is symmetrical. So, you know, if I go right foot, for now it's okay. So the whole point is, you know, at this point you get some exposure to what the Sun style feels like, looks like. And then at some point if you decide to take one of our classes, we have 78 movements in the form, so it should take a little while for you to learn it all. So what we'll do is we will go through a quick cool down to let that energy wash through us and you know, lower that activity in your mind right now. Okay. So feet shoulder width apart. We're going to breathe in, compress the hands, breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. So every breath that I'm taking here, so breathe in, I'm collecting this energy from the top, and it's going through the top of my head, through the spine, through all the way through the legs, through the bottom of your feet, and out through that position behind the ball of your foot. So that's one of our acupuncture points. And so I'm pushing it all the way through to the floor, and through the floor. So I want to go all the way down. So, one last one. So I'm collecting in, breathing in. So collecting this energy, air you think of it, through the top of the head, through the spine, through the legs, through the bottom of your feet, into the floor. Okay. So, now I want you to take your hands and move through your major joints, so that your shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, and we're going to rub that energy out of those joints. So as we talked about before, if we have stagnant energy in these joints, we could have little, illnesses like arthritis and whatnot. So we want to make sure there's nothing stagnant in these positions, or these places. So through those joints, and places like your hips, give them a good rub. And then the knees in particular, because today you had, a lot of these positions you had bent knees, so that's something that we're not used to. So we want to make sure there's nothing stagnant in there. And then through your calves. So you can spend a bit more time if you want, if you find some places that are a little stiffer than others. So we're going to breathe in, go up on your toes, and breathe out. Okay. Just let that energy loose. In and out. And one more. In and out. Okay. So give yourself a little shake here. Make sure nothing left in the fingers. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson where we covered some of the principles of Tai Chi and some of the movements as well in our beginner classes. So hopefully one day we'll see you in physical form in our class, learning with us the Sun style or the Chen style, depending on what your interest is. And I wish you all the best.